The Kenyatta National Hospital has received 34 survivors of the Eastleigh blast, all with varying injuries. Medics at the hospital say most of the injured have burn wounds and cuts. KTN's Edith Kimani reports. We'll have that report shortly. I believe we can now speak to KTN's Dennis Onsarigo, who has, of course, been monitoring this story very closely. Dennis, good evening. Earlier, we were told that police had some degree of intelligence to this pending attack. Certainly, they were unable to forestall it. But given the number of insecurity incidents that we've seen this month, is there a gap in our intelligence system?
Yes, indeed. And for the last 3 days, anti-terrorism police officers tell me they've been following some crucial leads as far as today's explosion was concerned. But again, what they had were just leads. They did not have suspects in mind. And if you might remember, just a few days ago, there were twin explosions in Eastleigh, but only one person was arrested, and police were trying to get to the bottom of the matter. And now we have this. Yes, indeed, it is a scary trend of terrorism activities happening in the city, and especially where now we have explosive devices being planted in motor vehicles raises the degree of insecurity in the country to another level. Such are the issues that police are trying to deal with. And yes, indeed, apart from having intelligence, apart from having information from informers, it appears that police are being outrun by criminal gangs.
And you know what's more worrying, Dennis, is that it seems the disquiet within the force is contributing to this gap in the intelligence system. We've heard of the go slow among the police force. We've heard of the disquiet because of the vetting of police officers. And of course, we've seen police officers themselves coming under attack. Take a look at what's happening in the Suguta Valley. And do you think then that the force is unfortunately not coherent enough to safeguard life and property right now?
And the fact that the explosive device was planted in the vehicle, and when I spoke to a senior policeman, he told me it appears the explosive was not thrown inside the public vehicle, as eyewitnesses are saying. It could have been planted there just early enough before someone made a call to that particular explosion, the explosive, for it to go off. That tells you we have another level of terrorism activities in the city. And the growing disquiet in the police force again adds to this kind of problems that you're facing at the moment. If you may remember that when I spoke to a senior CID officer, he says that in Nairobi in particular, they have not received intelligence money, what they normally call, money they normally given every after 3 weeks to collect intelligence. They're saying they have not received that money for the last 3 weeks. It's a very worrying trend. Maybe someone is either sitting on that money and making police work very, very, very hard. And remember, if policemen cannot approach this through intelligence-led policing, then it will be very, very hard for them to come down hard on these hardened criminals who are running the town as they want.
Yeah, indeed, that's very worrying. Finally, Dennis, while we say, I know the buck has to stop somewhere, and that's with security agencies, but we do say that security is a collective effort. And, you know, you go around shopping malls, you will see private security firms there, but it seems to be a bit of a lackluster effort. Like, they're not even really scrutinizing the people who are coming in. And this sort of lukewarm approach to matters of security as we enter the festive period, as we draw closer to the general election, certainly isn't it time for Kenyans to all be on high alert?
And again, it goes down to individual responsibility, because again, when I spoke to some senior policeman, he was telling me they cannot be at every spot. And the fact that now this kind of explosives are being planted in vehicles, that means that chances are they might find their way into the city center, they might find their way into shopping malls. And the fact that when you enter a public service vehicle and you don't want to subject yourself to some form of screening, that means you're putting yourself in some serious risk. So it must be a collective responsibility, not only on the part of the police, because police can only be at some place at some time, but they cannot be everywhere, every time. So it has to start with us, it has to start with the public, to make sure that indeed you need to know who is your neighbor, you need to know who has boarded, who is sitting next to you in that passenger service vehicle you're traveling in. Such are the issues that should be addressed. Such is the information that should go out there and the fact that some communities are targeting other communities and blaming them for this blast, it does not go very well for community-led policing. It is likely to complicate matters further. So if something is not done now, then we are likely, unfortunately, to see such kind of acts continue on.
Yeah, we certainly pray it doesn't happen. Thanks so much, KTN's Dennis Onsarego, crime and investigations reporter. We can now report on the hospital situation at Kenyatta. Edith Kimani joins us now.
The extent of this latest blast in Eastleigh area was in full view at the Kenyatta National Hospital. The emergency entrance was busy receiving all the injured victims of the blast, 34 in total. Some of the victims were pedestrians caught by the flying shrapnel from the explosion. Reports from the hospital say that some of them taken into the hospital were in serious condition, with majority suffering burns on the chest, limbs and hands.
The conditions of a number of them is that they have lost blood, and we made an appeal this evening, and we managed to get a substantial amount of blood from National Blood Transfusion Center, which has gone a long way really to help us support and restore the health of a number of our victims.
Reports from medical personnel at the hospital say 3 of the 34 injured have already gone in for minor surgery to stop excessive bleeding. Relatives of those affected were slowly flowing into the hospital, some uncertain if their loved ones had been admitted.
Those who are in critical conditions are going through X-rays and CT scan to ascertain the extent of their injuries.
The Red Cross and St. John ambulance, who helped ferry the injured to the hospital, was still on site when our crew left, and it is expected that they will set up a help desk for relatives looking for their loved ones.
We have opened an emergency ward, Ward 43, for those who will be admitted, and we have also recalled our staff who are off or who are on off duty to come and manage this situation.
The only challenge at the hospital was blood. The CEO, Richard Lasiampe, said the referral facility does not have enough transfusion blood. The National Transfusion Service was called in to boost the amount in the blood bank, although the hospital is still calling on well-wishers to come in and donate. Edith Kimani, KTN, Sunday Night.